What's up, universe? Elliot from Starforge Systems here. Next to me is one of our Horizon 2 Super PCs, and I want to talk to you about what's in the system, why it's in there, and what you can expect from its performance. Let's get right into it. The Horizon 2 Super is a journeyman PC that lands squarely in the mid-range of systems, and we're excited to have it in our lineup. Built around an MSI Pro Z790A Wi-Fi, this PC has high connectivity and expandability right out of the box. Its VRMs are perfect for regulating power to the Intel Core i5-13600K that we've put in its socket. This processor is extremely powerful, and its hybrid core technology allows it to be surprisingly efficient when dealing with multiple workloads at once. It's kept cold thanks to the LS520 240mm AIO from Deepcool. For RAM, we've chosen 32GB of DDR5 6000 megatransfer memory from Teamgroup. Populated in 2 DIMMs, it adds a little bit of RGB and a whole lot of consistency in performance. The RTX 4060 Ti from NVIDIA that we've put into this system features access to the latest and greatest in both Raytracing and AI upscaling. It's also an incredibly power-efficient graphics card. We've still built in room to expand and upgrade. Power to a system is a corner that cannot be cut, and this particular unit is perfect for longevity. The terabyte of PCIe 4.0 storage in a Z44A5 NVMe SSD is plenty fast, with read speeds up to 500,000 megabytes per second. To keep this system running cool and looking good, we've put it in a Deepcool CK560 airflow chassis and added CableMod extensions to each of this system's power cables. Backed by our 2-year parts and labor warranty, this PC brings gaming back to the mid-range. Now for some game tests. Check out the description below for our testing methodology, and remember that all tests are done on standardized systems so you know exactly what to expect. Starting off our testing with Forza Horizon 5, 1080p frame rates were 109 FPS average, with 117 frames per second average being rendered by the GPU. Turning on DLSS with frame generation yields a small dip in actually rendered frames at 111 frames per second average, while displayed frame rates jumped up almost 50% to 163 frames per second average. .1440p performance put average frame rates rendered much closer to displayed frame rates. 89 frames per second average being sent to the monitor, with 93 frames per second being rendered by the GPU in that same time frame. And at 4K extreme settings, the Horizon 2 Super displayed Forza Horizon 5 at 60 frames per second average. The GPU's render rate sat just above this at 62 frames per second. Assassin's Creed Valhalla comes in next in our testing suite. At 1080p Ultra, performance came in at 123 frames per second average. Moving to 1440p, the in-game benchmark ran at a respectable 90 frames per second average. Finally, at 4K, the Horizon 2 Super played at 48 FPS average. Up next is Far Cry 6. Running the game at ultra-high settings, we saw 134 frames per second average at 1080p. Playing at 1440p, average frame rates came in at 101 FPS. Moving on to 4K Ultra, the Horizon 2 Super ran at 54 frames per second average. A couple light tweaks should bring the system up to a more desirable 60 FPS. Moving on to the ludicrously high frame rates of Rainbow Six Siege, the Super runs at 476 frames per second average at 1080p. Shifting to a higher resolution of 1440p, the in-game benchmark at pre-configured ultra settings played at 465 frames per second average. Playing at 4K saw a small dip in performance, now running at 462 frames per second on average. Moving on to Cyberpunk 2077, at 1080p, the Horizon 2 Super ran at 97 frames per second average. At 1440p, the in-game benchmark ran at 58 frames per second average, with settings cranked all the way up. Shifting to 4K, Night City showed just how demanding Cyberpunk really is. 25 frames per second average. With drivers and game updates, and even just some tweaking, there's definitely some opportunity to run this game at much higher frame rates. Enabling both DLSS in performance mode and ray tracing set to ultra, we see a 32% increase in frame rates, up to 33 frames per second average. This game is still as demanding as it gets. Wrapping things up with Modern Warfare 2, at 1080p the Horizon 2 Super plays at 112 FPS average, with 5% lows at 76 FPS and 1% lows at 51 FPS. Bringing up the resolution to 1440p, we saw 78 frames per second average, with 5% lows at 51 FPS and 1% lows at 24 frames per second. Extreme settings definitely hurt the frame time consistency in this title. At 4K, we see more of the same, 44 frames per second average with extreme settings, with 5% lows at 28 FPS and 1% lows at 20 FPS. Moving from native to DLSS upscaled frame rates, we see a notable increase across the board. Average frame rates come up over 80% to 81 FPS average, with a much more palatable 5% and 1% low, 58 frames per second average and 44 frames per second average respectively.
That just about does it for the Horizon 2 Super. Designed to game and built to last, this system is perfect for gamers who've been waiting a while for an upgrade. With the Super, now's the time. It's been put together to give gamers yet another option when looking for the Starforge Systems PC that's right for them. For yours, check out starforgesystems.com and be sure to swing by our Twitch live streams over at twitch.tv/StarforgeSystems. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the Forge.